Where's Brian with our flag?
Are you ready? Okay.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
it stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty, justice for all.
justice for all. Amen.
Yay!
Okay.
Okay, high five. High five.
All right.
Put it back on.
For roll call this evening with us, we have Jay Grover, trustee, Glenn Bobeck, trustee, Nicole Novak, trustee, Robin Creary, trustee, Joy Lamarca, trustee, Sue Marston, vice president, Ashley Dreyer, president, Dr. Graham, our superintendent. I see Cheryl Cardone, assistant superintendent for pupil personnel services. Who else do we have with us? Did I miss anyone? Oh, Dr. Harris, assistant superintendent for business and finance. We have
Karen Cuddy Miller.
Karen Cuddy Miller is here, assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. Okay, did I miss anyone? It's different when you're not looking around a table, but you're not seeing everyone's face at once on a Zoom meeting. Announcements, if you could silence your cell phones, please, so they don't disrupt the meeting. That would be great. If I could have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening.
I'll motion.
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And if we could have a motion to approve the minutes from June 8th, please?
I'll motion.
I'll make,
And a second? And a second? I think that was Robin motioned, and do I have a second?
I motion. Second.
Oh, Sue motioned and Glenn seconded. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. Under our recognition, our good news, correspondence recognition and good news, we have a budget vote. We have a passed budget. Dr. Graham, did you want to say anything about the budget vote?
Yes, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, everybody. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today for this board meeting. And under recognition of good news, we're very excited to talk about the budget vote. As I begin, though, I want to make sure that we provide some recognition to Jude and her team of election poll inspectors who did a fantastic job adjusting, adapting, and facilitating the governor's, just a little feedback, we're just adjusting that, the governor's executive orders, which required a budget vote and board of election that was totally done, of course, by absentee ballot. I would also like to thank the election poll inspectors who supported Jude. That was Sharon Nichols, Linda Lichtenthal, Jane Wynn, Lisa Macaluso, and Phyllis Martin. So for our board and all of our all the people watching tonight, on June 16th at 5 p.m., this group of people began opening up over 5,000 absentee ballots. It took until about 10 o'clock at night to get those all opened and get the absentee ballots unfolded and ready for scanning. We were supposed to deliver those ballots downtown around 11 o'clock at night, but unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, the Board of Elections asked us to come at 3 a.m. So Jude and I looked at each other and said, let's do it. So we packed up, we went home and then we came back and packed up all the ballots. And I want to thank Teresa Lizaday for letting us use one of her school vehicles. And we drove downtown, got to the Board of Elections at 3 a.m. and that would be Wednesday morning. When we got there, we parked behind another school district vehicle. So that tells you that there were other school districts still waiting to scan their ballots at 3 a.m. at the Board of Elections downtown. We did get into the building and meet with the election officials there. They did apologize that our 3 a.m. appointment would need to be bumped later on. In fact, they were predicting maybe even the next, Wednesday evening. We came back to Grand Island, got back to school early that morning and found out that they were ready for us at 11 a.m. Wednesday morning. So Jude and Ruby and I went back downtown and they did a fantastic job. They scanned over 5,000 ballots in about 90 minutes. And of course, our budget did pass by about 59% approval. And Proposition 2 for transportation also passed with 59.6 approval. Also, I'm very pleased to announce that Ashley and Sue are returning to the board in July for another 3 years. So let's give them a big round of applause. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And finally, Ashley, of course, as a school system, we're grateful to all those who voted and for the community's support in our budget. And I would just close by saying that we hope we never have to conduct another budget vote and Board of Election vote by total absentee ballot system. The process cost over $20,000 for our district to enact. And it was certainly frustrating, particularly as tomorrow is a primary election where voters can come in person to vote. So we hope that we never have to have that process be totally absentee ballot, but if we had to, we're ready. So thank you.
Brian, in typical years, what is our approval of the budget vote as opposed to this year?
The last 2 years, about 75 and 70%, somewhere in that range.
So we were significantly lower this year?
We were just under 60%.
Okay, any understanding of why the budget vote was maybe 15-20% lower this year?
No, I'm not sure. We sent out 15,000 ballots and received over 5,000 back. So I'm not sure. I mean, that's a lot to receive back, but we certainly could have received more. So I don't know if we received more. I don't know if our percentage would have increased or decreased.
Was turnout higher or lower this year?
Much,
Across the state or for us?
For us.
much higher this
Much
year.
higher. Yeah, we average about 1,600 voters a year over the last 10, 20 years. So we've had lower, we've had higher, but the average is about 1,600.
Okay, so the turnout was much higher and the percentage of the vote and support was lower.
Yes, but we've had budget votes where it was closer, or budgets have gone down with similar high voting turnout.
I only asked that because I would like to have the district, kind of look at that as we go forward and understand how we can create a budget that is sustainable going forward for the public, given the current circumstances and I'm not happy with a 56% vote approval. I think it's much lower than I would like it to be.
Yep, it was 59%.
59, you said?
It was 59.
Well, 59, but 59 is not where I would like to be.
Sure.
I mean, I'd like to have a budget that our community can support at an 80 to 90% level, and I would like to, as we go forward, ensure that our expenses are brought in line so that we get a larger percentage of vote in support of our budget. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the public comment session, agenda items only. Did we have anyone sign up for that? I don't think we did. No? Okay, nothing under curriculum and instruction. So we'll move on to personnel, instructional. If I could have a motion to approve instructional PI1 and PI2, please.
I have a quick question before we vote, please. Under instructional personnel, for our summer school teachers for 6th, 7th, and 8th, are we having summer school?
Yep, it's all virtual. It's all distance learning.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't hear the final on that, so I apologize.
Sure, no problem.
I will make the motion, Ashley, for you.
Okay, second. Can we have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And moving on to personnel non-instructional. If I could have a motion to approve non-instructional PNI1.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And I believe we have an introduction, Dr. Graham?
We do.
Or
We do. For our team that are ready for introductions, let's start with Shel Cardone, and then we'll end with Mr. Fitzpatrick. Okay. So Cheryl, go ahead. And
Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to introduce Rose Martin. Rose, I can see you on my screen. You can wave. Rose comes to us from BOCES. She was a BOCES employee for 14 and within 5 years. So Rose is our hearing teacher for the district. She is very familiar with all of our students and all of our families, which is really good news. Rose does live in Tonawanda with her husband, and they have one child. So Rose, congratulations. You have.
Thank you.
I think you're muted, Rose.
Am I muted? Oh, no.
No, I heard her.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Rose.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Very excited.
Good. Thank you, Rose.
Thanks.
We're excited to hear. And I have another introduction, Julianne McGrath. I did see Julianne on my screen before, so I'm sure she'll pop back up again. Julianne McGrath, if everybody remembers, she was our .5 elementary counselor last year. The board, thankfully, decided that we could utilize a 1.0 elementary counselor to help with our social emotional needs of our students in Sidway, Hughes, and Kegabyne. Thank you very much. So Julie went through an intensive interview process, and she did end up as the successful candidate. So we welcome Julie back to the team. Julie this year has actually put into place a career fair at Kegabyne. She has actually done some work with the social emotional needs at Hughes, and she also has completed the first comprehensive school district guided plan that I actually will be presenting to you in July. So congratulations, Julie. We welcome you. Julianne lives in Medina, and Julianne has 4 children. So if you can unmute and just say hello, Julie, that would be great.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for allowing me to continue with this year.
Good. Thank you, Julianne.
Thank you, Julie.
Is that good for you, Cheryl?
I'm good.
I think that, yep, thank you very much. Let's move to Max Pakula.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce, actually, I have 3 people to introduce to you tonight. I have, my first one is Patricia Andrews. I think I saw her on the screen. Patricia, are you there? I thought I saw her before. So
She's here.
oh, yes. Okay, great. Patricia Andrews has been our 611 long-term sub self-contained special education teacher for this past year. And she's done a fantastic job. She's certified in special education and childhood education, birth through 6. And she's just done a great job in that position. Her level of professionalism and passion for working with her students is really remarkable. And we all know how stressful teaching can be sometimes. And every single day, Patricia does a fantastic job handling that and just pushing through those obstacles and coming out on the end successful with her students. So I've been very impressed, and I'm really happy to have her as our newest 611 self-contained teacher at Youth Road. So welcome, Patricia.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. My next introduction actually is our new music teacher at Youth Road is Carissa Sugar. I don't know if I saw Carissa. Is Carissa on our meeting today?
Here. I'm here,
Great,
Mr.
fantastic.
Palumba.
Great. So I'd like to welcome Carissa Sugar as our new music teacher at Youth Road. She's, of course, replacing Carol Horrigan. She's certified in general music and a Google certified educator. We went through a lot of interviewees for our candidates for our position. And Miss Sugar just rose to the top with her enthusiasm and her passion for instructing music to students. It was very clear as we went through that she had this passion and this love for it, and we were just so happy to have her at Youth Road. She's come to Youth Road with 8 years of experience from Freetown, Massachusetts. She's been working there for 8 years. She's actually a graduate of Grand Island, and she was student teaching at Youth Road probably about 8 years ago. She comes as experience as a music teacher a choral director, a curriculum leader, and as well as a Google guide. And I'm not exactly sure what that is yet, but we'll figure that out. I'm sure, Chris. All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pakula.
Good. As I said, she's a Grand Island graduate, and she's just happy to come back home to Grand Island to be with her family. She's got a husband and a 2-year-old. I don't remember if it was a daughter or a son, Carissa, but pardon me for getting that. But she's just happy to come back home to Huth Road, and we're happy to have her. So welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Pakula. I'm super excited to rejoin the Grand Island family as an adult now and not a student. And I'll be coming with my daughter, Rosie, and my husband. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Great.
Good.
You're welcome.
And
My last introduction is Mary Jo Lasut. Are you here as well? I think I saw you. I'm not sure. Mary Jo, you there? Mary Jo actually has been with us. She's as a classroom aide at over the past year, working in our self-contained classroom with Mrs. Andrews, actually. And she is now going to be filling in as a probationary, of course, 611 classroom aide, working with Miss Andrews again this coming year. She did a fantastic job last year working with one particular student, and she did just a great job forming that relationship. And she has a very calming personality, I think, that she brings to the table. And I'm really happy with the fact that she can continue working with us this coming year. So welcome, Mary Jo. Oh, she's there. I see her name, but I don't see her face. So I'm sure she's there.
well,
That's all I've got.
congratulations. Mr. Pakula, just before we move on to Mr. Loria, is it true that Carissa may have been a student of Mrs. Horgan at one point?
Yes, that is true. I wasn't going to share all that information, but that is true.
Wow, congratulations to everybody. Thank you, Mr. Pakula. Mr. Loria. Is Mr.
Okay,
Loria? Oh, there we go.
Yep, I'm here. Just had to unmute. Takes a second. So I have two candidates that I'm very excited about. This was one of our most exciting years of hiring, I have to tell you, because I feel really good about the two individuals. And I do want to thank everyone who voted for the board, because I know these two individuals are both relocating back to Western New York, and both were very excited to be able to start house hunting and selling and whatever they had to do to get themselves here. So first I'll introduce Mr. James Neely. James is our new probationary Spanish teacher. He's also certified in ESL, which is, helpful to have. I know that him and I talked earlier, and he was out apartment hunting, and he, in the interviews, really spoke to the committee in terms of his ability to speak Spanish fluently, probably because of his time spent both studying in Oviedo, Spain, and San Jose, Costa Rica. James has been teaching at Wellsville since 2014, so he was a tenured teacher there. He was a class advisor there, and I know in talking to some of the references there that they speak to the fact that their community is really going to miss him, and not just the school community. He's really become a part of the whole community there, and we're really excited to have him in our Grand Island community. So I want to welcome him to Grand Island, and if he can just mute himself for a second and introduce himself, that would be great. There he is.
Yep. Hello, everyone. I am very excited to be back in Western New York, or closer to Buffalo, where I'm from. And actually, I got an apartment today, so I'm very excited. I just got the final details, so it is official on all counts. But I'm very happy to be joining the Grand Island family and to be closer to my family in Buffalo and friends and water and all sorts of fun things like that. So I'm definitely excited for something new and different and exciting.
Thanks, James. Welcome. I just want to say, and this is in terms of both candidates, we did most of our interviewing virtually for lessons, and I think that it's really difficult to engage students in that setting. And I know James did an amazing job. He actually set up a classroom in his living room for his lesson, and brought the school to his home. So I think that the kids really responded well to that, and I thought it was ingenious of you, and really worked beautifully with the kids and getting them involved. So thank you.
Welcome,
Our
James.
second candidate. Welcome.
Yeah.
Our second candidate is John Reed, and John Reed is coming to us from Houston, Texas, where he has been teaching in Texas schools for the last, since 2011, I believe, multiple schools at multiple grade levels. He was started as an assistant band director. He's now been the associate band director there since 2013. He's directed many different types of bands, including marching bands. When he interviewed, he by far showed the most ability and competency in terms of being able to step in where Mr. Allen left off. Obviously, many of you know he's our highly regarded leader who is enjoying his retirement a little bit earlier than most teachers had anticipated. But we're excited to have John, and he again is also selling his home and moving back originally from the Williamsville area of Western New York. And I know he's super excited to come back. So we want to welcome him and congratulate him. And we have all the confidence in the world that he is going to continue the tradition of excellence with our music program at Grand Island. John, you there?
We're here. This is all three kids, Jack, Lucy, and Edith, and it's Lucy's second birthday today. So it's a double, celebration here. And I just want to express my gratitude to Dr. Graham and you, Mr. Loria, and the board. We're so excited to come back to Western New York, and so excited to carry on what Mr. Allen has been building over the past years. I shared with Dr. Graham in the interview my experience with Mr. Allen when I was a student and how welcoming he was. And I remember that to this day. So we're so excited to be coming back to Western New York and continuing on with Mr. Allen's legacy at Grand Island.
That's great.
We're excited to have you back in Western New York, John. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Lucy, is it? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. You're all set, Mr. Loria? Good. Mrs. Dunbar, do you have anybody tonight?
No, neither could make it this evening.
Okay, I lost track. Thank you. Thank you, Denise. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Graham. I have the pleasure of introducing you all to two candidates. First, for Mr. Adam Buffamani. I'm very pleased to introduce Mr. Buffamani as the new assistant principal at Veronica E. Connor Middle School. Mr. Buffamani began his teaching career in 2005 and was a classroom teacher for 12 years, beginning at Pinnacle Charter School, Enterprise Charter School, and South Buffalo Charter Schools. During his teaching career, he served as an assistant dean of students, athletic director, behavior intervention specialist, and modified baseball coach at the Tonda School. In 2017, he became the dean at the Charter School for Applied Technologies, and then became assistant principal in 2008. Mr. Buffamani emphasizes the importance of building strong relationships while meeting the needs of all of his students, families, and staff. He believes that positive relationships combined with open communication and a genuine interest in students and their families creates a healthy school environment. And that's an exact quote from Mr. Buffamani. Our middle school welcomes Mr. Buffamani, and we are certainly excited to have him join our team. So congratulations, Mr. Buffamani, if you want to say just a brief hello so everyone can see you.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Graham, Mr. Fitzpatrick, and the Board of Education for this opportunity to come to such a prestigious school district like Grand Island. I'm genuinely excited to lead alongside Mr. Fitzpatrick, and we're going to continue to build those strong relationships, not only with the students, the families, but also the community members. And to be completely honest with you, I'm just excited for July 1st when I can finally call myself a Grand Island Viking. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce, or actually reintroduce in a new way, Rob Hennessy, Mr. Rob Hennessy. We're very excited to welcome Mr. Hennessy as a teacher on the VCMS staff. And as many of you know, Mr. Hennessy began his career as a teaching assistant many years ago. He has his certification in social studies education and recently obtained his certification in special education. Mr. Hennessy is one of the most diligent and committed members of our faculty and staff. He will go above and beyond to help all of his students succeed. And this was evident when he filled in for a special education position beginning back in January, and especially what a great job he did through the distance learning process. He is also a modified basketball coach at the middle school who has consistently established great relationships with the students. And it's evidenced by his being recognized as a Celebration of Inspiration Award winner, I think maybe twice during his career. He was nominated by his former students and athletes. I'm looking forward to the great work that he will do with a classroom of his own. So congratulations, Mr. Hennessy, well deserved.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick, and congratulations to all of our new teachers and support staff. Is there anybody else that was ready to do any additional introductions tonight? I think we did them all, but just checking. Excellent. Well, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We look forward to having you become part of our Grand Island Viking family. Moving on now to finance with Dr. Harris. There's quite a few things, and we can do a motion for A through E when you're done with telling us all about the finance items here.
Okay. Everybody can hear me, correct? I always have a lot of stuff. I'm really trying to be like nothing one day. So the first item on here is obsolete textbooks. That is a request that is coming from the high school. Item B is the budget transfers over $15,000, which was primarily health insurance for the general fund, and the other ones dealt with the capital project. And now that we are actually getting in the what the plan is for payment for the different contractors, we're putting the money in the correct account codes to help with final cost report. So as information is being provided, more money is being moved to make it easier in the end. Item C is a donation for growing readers. The Rotary Club donated $2,200 to growing readers, so we definitely are appreciative of that. Item D is a donation. I believe Karen talked about this at the last board meeting of the $500 that goes to the libraries. So we are in receipt of that, those funds. And just so you are all aware, since it is the end of the year, those funds will be placed in the 2020-21 budget to allow the schools to actually be able to spend that money for the upcoming school year. And then lastly, I have item E, which is consideration for potential solar lease. I have Sarah and Beth, I believe. I did try to look to see if I saw their name, but I did see some people call in with phone numbers, so I think that might be them. Sarah or Beth, are either one of you on the line?
Yeah, hi, this is Sarah.
Okay, so I have Sarah and possibly Beth on the line to talk about the solar and the different things that have to take place, what requires board action tonight, and the RFP that will be going out shortly. There was an email that was sent out this morning to everyone. If anybody did not receive it, being board members, let me know and I'll resend it, but I think I CC'd everybody on it. So Sarah, can you, or Sarah and Beth, can you talk about the resolution item that needs action tonight and talk about the RFP a little bit for the board?
Yeah, sure. Just for background, my name is Sarah Main. I'm an attorney at Hodgson Russ, and we've been working with Ruby to develop this solar RFP, as well as explain the process for the approvals that would need to take place for the school district to eventually enter into a lease for a solar project. The resolution before you tonight is the first step in that process. In order to eventually enter into a lease of the property where a solar project would be developed, the board needs to declare that the property is no longer needed for school district purposes, that it is surplus property. So this is just the first step prior to issuing an RFP. you'll see that the resolution also includes approval to put the RFP out onto the street. It doesn't bind you to anything at this point. The RFP is simply to gauge the market to allow developers to come before the board with proposals for how to use the site. The RFP, as you'll see, asks that developers provide the solution that best meets the school district's interests, and with the primary focus of putting the land to productive use and reducing the school district's electric bills. Now, under the education law, approval is needed to enter into a lease that is longer than 10 years. Most solar leases are about 20 to 25 years. They're often called a PPA, a power purchase agreement or lease. So you'll see that we provided a sample lease for the board to issue with the RFP. It should be noted that this is just a form to provide developers with a sense of what a lease could look like. They'll need to come before you and negotiate the eventual terms of that lease once the board makes a determination that it is ready to move forward. So, like I said, the lease will need to be negotiated after a consideration of responses to the RFP. So the resolution today is just the first step in that process. Beth, I don't know if you are on the line, but if there's anything you'd like to add, please feel free to chime in.
I have one quick question, if I could. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to look at the sample lease that was emailed to us this morning. However, I know I've expressed my concerns about the end of the lease, or in the event that the person leasing the property no longer uses it as a solar farm. In the sample lease, is there a requirement of the terms of how they need to dismantle and what can be left on our property when they're finished? And it may be too early for that question. I just didn't get a chance to look at the lease, so I apologize.
Oh, no, that's a very fair question. That is a standard term that we've included in the lease. And that's pretty typical for these kind of arrangements to put the developers who are going to provide you with responses, notice that they'll be responsible for decommissioning the system at the end of its productive use and returning the site to its original condition.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, can I have a motion to approve finance items A through E?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0.
Sue, I would just like to say, you guys do have time to review the RFP. It's not something that's going out tomorrow. It's, in my mind, it's set to start or to be released June 30th. So if there are any questions you have in reference to that, please feel free to send them along, or things you want to see specifically that you don't automatically see there. I know that Sarah helped tremendously with just helping me understand what needs to go where, or what certain things mean, to make sure of the things that you even asked about tonight. So feel free to look at that. This was just to make sure that we were actually deeming the property as surplus for us to move forward. So I do want that to be known. This is not hitting the streets tomorrow, and that's why when it was sent, it did say that this was for the board's eyes only. That way everybody receives the information or is privy to the information on the 30th at the same time.
And Ruby, if I could just note, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll just add that the RFP is a draft, and that does not mean that it cannot be changed if the board has additional language they'd like to see in there. Same with the lease.
Perfect. Thank you for that. F, I have the April check warrants. G is the building and grounds. It's an update. It is the fire inspections that have been completed and filed with Albany. Each year we attach this information so the board is aware that this information has been completed and filed, and the certificates of occupancy have been received. H is the treasurer's report for March. I is the, I'm going to cut back on stuff I add. I is the revenue status report for March, and J is budget transfers under 15,000, and K for information is the driver's education contract with O'Day School of Driving. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to special education with Cheryl Cardone. Looks like we have, we need a motion for pupil personnel services A and B. And a second.
I think I'm back on, Ashley. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It looks like it's committee recommendations. So if we could have a second, Sue made a motion.
Yeah. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. All right, there's nothing under policy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. There's nothing under policy, and so now we're on to the superintendent's report.
Good, thank you very much. To start the superintendent report today, I want to talk a little bit about our committee, our district facilities committee, that has been meeting this past school year to talk about the structural engineering report that we originally received regarding Kegabyne. As the board knows, we have a district facilities committee that meets. We have 3 board members on that committee, and I want to thank Ashley and Glenn and Joy for being part of that committee. They work with Ruby and Jim Rosler, myself, members from Campus Construction and Young and Wright Architectural Company. During these meetings, we have been reviewing an older structural engineering report from Syracuse Engineers. That company identified concerns regarding the floors and walls at Kegabyne. Their report supports future work, such as the removal of areas of flooring and concrete within the current building, excavating to a certain depth, and adding engineered fill before repouring concrete. As we have processed that information and looked at all of that data, we know that it might be a good idea to go out and have some other companies do engineer, or have one company do an engineering report that is more in depth. The Syracuse company used old geotechnical information to create their report. And what we would like to do is get permission from the board to go out and secure some bids from some companies where they would use new geotechnical testing in various locations at the Kegabyne campus, and to compare those tests with the old information to better guide the committee as well as the Board of Education in what future work may be necessary at Kegabyne. This type of work, this type of engineering, structural engineering reporting will cost approximately $18,000, and that in that window it could cost less or it could cost more depending on the bids that we receive. The goal of our committee is to solicit a second opinion, basically, from the Syracuse company, and then to share that information with the board so that we're better, so that we're well informed and that we're able to move forward with the best possible information. So go ahead if you have any questions. Okay, so with that said, it would be great if the board would allow us to get quotes from different engineering companies, and then we would bring those quotes back to the board for future consideration.
I will make a motion to do that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Objections?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you very much. So the next part of the superintendent report would be to talk about a COVID-19 update for our board and our community. To this date in Erie County, as of today, there have been 116,000 residents who have been tested for COVID-19. Of those tested, 6,914 have been confirmed cases, and there have been 623 tragic deaths associated with COVID-19 in Erie County. Additionally, as of today, there have been 94 individuals identified with COVID-19 on Grand Island. On June 15th, Cheryl Cardone and I attended the first regional task force committee meeting that was sponsored by the New York State Education Department and the Board of Regents. It's one of 4 regional task force meetings. The first one I said, we attended on the 15th, and then there was one on the 17th. There will be 2 more on the 22nd and 24th. At the reopening workshop, we heard from the chancellor, we heard from the interim commissioner and some experts, one medical doctor and one expert in social emotional learning. There were 355 individuals who attended this workshop virtually from across the region. This region included Rochester, Batavia, the North Towns, the South Towns, Southern Tier, and so forth. So it's my understanding that after those 4 regional workshops have concluded, a company called BED will synthesize all the information gathered in those 4 regional workshops and share them with the Board of Regents. And we expect the Board of Regents to make some type of announcement or guidance on July 13th regarding these regional workshops. But to that end, we cannot wait, for State Ed to finalize their guidance. We have already started our work on Friday. Cheryl Cardone and Cheryl Friday, Krista Marco, Denise Dunbar, Felicia Palachi, Hillary Kretz-Harvey, Jim Rosler, John Fitzpatrick, John Roth, Karen Surdike, Kathy Chadwick, Mary Haggerty, Max Bakula, Michael Grosso, Mike Loria, Mike Murray, Robin Kwiatek, Ruby Harris, Scott Perry, Sherry Steffens, Teresa Lizade, Michael Young, and Pat Smith all came together virtually to begin our planning for reopening of school in September. We're very pleased to report that after that meeting lasted a couple hours, we're going to break off into 9 different task force groups where we'll include other teachers and support staff into those task forces to review things like teaching and learning, special education, transportation, digital equity, budget and finance, human resources, social emotional needs of students, bilingual education. I think I mentioned human resources and health and safety. After those meetings have concluded, we will build a plan into a template that looks at 100% of the students returning to school in September. The plan must also look at if we were in a serious situation with COVID-19 spiking in the fall, a plan of a hybrid approach with some distance learning and some in-person teaching and learning. And then the third possible plan would be looking at all distance learning in the event that there was a crisis in health and safety and welfare related to this virus. Additionally,
Dr. Graham, is there going to be a board member on the task force? And could we have a board member on the task force? And I had a question about the 9 task force, 1 for each school, 1 for transportation. What are the other ones for?
So there's a teaching and learning task force that would include everything from elementary, middle, and high school. So talking about instruction, talking about teaching and learning. Special education task force, again, looking at the entire district and the needs of special education students. We'll have a transportation and facilities committee, a digital equity committee, a budget and finance committee, a social emotional needs committee, a committee that focuses on students who need English as a second language, a committee that looks at the staffing and human resources, and another committee that focuses on health and safety. We certainly could have a board member on any of those committees. All the board needs to do is email myself and or Jude, and we will just share with us your interest in any of those 9 task forces, and we'll connect you with the administrator who's leading those.
No, I know.
Yeah,
that
and-
you
and Brian,
Can you also post the times with that of when they're meeting?
We don't have all those times. We just met on Friday to organize that.
Okay.
So the various principals and or administrators or supervisors that are leading those task force will be announcing their times and dates soon.
Excellent, thank you.
Brian, is there
Yep.
any update in terms of state aid and what may happen with state aid as we go forward? I know we passed the budget recently. Is there any update in terms of whether or not any of the state aid might be reduced going forward?
I have not heard of any update that would give us a date or a time in which the governor may make an announcement like that. We've been bracing for an announcement from the governor, but we're not aware. Let me just pause and see if Ruby received any information today, either via email or through your group. Ruby, do you have any updates for the board on this question?
Nothing has been provided when it comes to funding. My hope would be that we would hear something soon, but the original date of review was supposed to be April 30th, and it has been radio silence when it comes to financial reductions from the state. And I really don't know if that is just the governor trying to see what happens with the federal government, or if I'm going to keep that second comment to myself. So I'm just going to say he's waiting for the federal government.
Have we prepared or thought through what may happen if in fact we lose state aid?
Yes.
We have, we
Go
have
ahead,
talked
Ruby.
about it. We have talked about it. I would say the hardest thing right now, Glenn, is not knowing the amount of loss.
Right.
Because depending on the level of loss, it could look very different. I actually have in my announcement, and so I'll just do it now, in reference to the upcoming year's budget. The budget is live. The information has went out to the clerical people as well as the administrators, letting them know that they can put in purchase orders, but only things that are deemed essential are going to be approved. I think it is easier to say we're not going to order from a supply line than to try to figure out cuts, which, people don't want to talk about, but if $2 million is gone from the budget, something has to give. So they are aware of that. I think as people are asking more and more questions, people within the district are understanding the severity of the pandemic itself and what its impact is on the school district. And we are also going to be tracking any COVID related expenses in a separate account line, because I think it's important to see how much funding that we usually would spend in program areas or in different areas is actually going towards the pandemic, and possibly if FEMA comes into play for these expenses, being able to properly report that. So It is the forefront of my mind, but I don't have any new numbers.
Right. I asked this only because I've been asked this by other people. Have any folks in the district been furloughed or not been employed fully during the time from March on?
Yeah, so we have about 60 employees who have filed for unemployment in the district. Many of those are substitute teachers, substitute SRP, and so forth. So about 60 people have filed for unemployment.
Dr. Graham, I know that the state education department has requested you develop three plans for opening in the fall, 3 different plans. the 9 task force that you just mentioned, the 9 different groups, are they tasked with developing those 3 plans, or is there another group that is developing those 3 plans? Because I think board members would want to sit on the task force that is helping develop the plans for the fall of for the state education department. Do we have a committee for that as well, or wrapped up in the task force in some way?
Yeah, so good question. On Friday, I shared with our committee a template that I created but borrowed from another state because our state has not provided us with a template. So I've been doing a lot of research, and I'm using another state's template to help structure our conversations. So in that template, it's multiple pages, and it is filled with some questions and concerns that are related directly to those 9 task forces. And those questions and concerns would be true in any one of the 3 models, whether it's 100% of the students are returning, or 50%, or children are totally distance learning, depending on the severity of the crisis. So, so a template has already been created, and that has been shared with these committee members. And then people on the committee are adding questions or concerns depending on where they fit in that template. And so things will be synthesized and then structured into that plan. I will also be inviting some community members, maybe some community leaders to a separate meeting, and of course parents. So there will be multiple opportunities to receive feedback, not only from board members, but our entire community.
Can I rephrase my question? Other than substitute teachers, have any permanent employees been furloughed or lost their jobs as opposed during the pandemic?
Nope, just the 60 people that were either.
Okay, I only ask because I've been asked by many people in my neighborhood. Thank you.
Sure. So again, only the 60 people, and they're not all teachers. Some of them are substitutes that work in our SRP group as well. Ruby, could you share with the board in approximates, because we're fully insured, we take care of unemployment insurance ourselves. When somebody is on unemployment insurance, we pay dollar for dollar the benefit that person who's unemployed receives. Am I saying that correctly, Ruby?
From my knowledge and the tutorials that John has helped give us, yes, that is the case. So I believe the last unemployment report that came through, and I believe I can share this information in depth with the board if you would like to see it in an email. But I believe we have paid out about $60,000 in unemployment from March until now, or at least for this full school year, but I think it was March until now. I'll confirm that information. I would also, 2 other things that are going on in the world of unemployment that has been being provided and shared throughout school districts is, one, some people seem to have filed for unemployment, may not qualify, but have been approved. So maybe in a week or 2 after they filed and it was reviewed by the unemployment office, they've actually stopped providing funding for people. And the other thing has been that there have been fraudulent filings. I think that's the proper way to say it, Dr. Graham. So all school districts are actually being told to make sure you are reviewing the list of people that have filed and reach out to them. It's very interesting, especially with the information that is supposed to be provided to even file unemployment, that this is happening. Grand Island has not had any confirmed cases of this, but neighboring districts have had anywhere between 1 and people in the 20s and 30s. So we are doing our follow-up to make sure that the people that are on the list actually filed and are supposed to be there.
Thank you, Ruby.
Brian, real quick, you mentioned community members being on those task force. I would be interested in seeing those community members before we commit to any placement.
Before we commit to any what?
putting anybody on any of those task forces, or if we could have conversation so that we're not skewed to one side or the other.
Could you be a little more specific? Are you saying before a board member chooses one of those 9 committees, you're saying you also want to know which community leaders would be invited to be part of it?
Yeah, and I think that, you know, we as board members, Glenn has heard from the public, I have heard from our community as well. And I've heard, you know, quite a few remarks from either side. And it would be nice to know that we have community members that are on both sides of, or have had different experiences as we go to make a plan for next fall. Whether we're at 50, 75, or 100. It's just, you know, we've had a lot of community questions and opinions, for lack of a better word. So we, you know, the community just wants to make sure that everyone is heard.
Of course, sure.
Or has a say. We're not leaning to one way or the other, because different community members might have different opinions or thoughts.
Okay.
And
Okay,
honestly,
so
we
we'll
tend to,
communicate
and to be honest, let me just finish my thought. We tend to always go back to the same community leaders, and maybe this is a good time to open it up to others.
Yeah, so
we will communicate via email for that. Then.
If board members would like to send me an email with a suggestion of who they would like invited in that community subgroup or workshop, that would be outstanding.
Okay, and
or a way that we could open it, excuse me, Ashley, or a way that we could open it up so more people know about it too. I just feel like we tend to go back to the same group of people, and there are a lot of people in our community at this time that have opinions, concerns, and thoughts on it, right? So I think if we're going to open it up, we might want to take a look at how we're going to open that.
Sure.
Instead of just picking people.
So we would have a parent workshop and then a separate community leader workshop. That's what I'm referring to.
I understand.
Okay. So yeah, so please feel free, any board member who would like to see a community leader invited, by all means, please share that information. I'd be happy to invite them.
Okay, and Dr. Graham, you'll be emailing us with the names of the task force,
Sure.
9
Yep.
task force, so we can look into which one we might be a part of. Okay, thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. So I just want to wrap up just a little bit more information with the board. As the board knows, there was a survey that was created by Erie 1 BOCES superintendents. So the superintendents that serve what is known as Erie 1 BOCES got together, created a survey. Tim Oldenburg actually led that task force. And we sent that out. It closed on Friday. There were over 25,000 responses across Erie County to that survey. And here in Grand Island, there were 2,320 responses. Of the 2,320 responses, 1,700 of those were parents. 280 of them were our employees, and 378 of them were secondary students in our school system. So right now, just an early look. That data came in on Friday. I worked with it all weekend and most of today. Approximately 70% of the respondents indicated that they believe school should resume as normal in September with some new procedures to reduce the spread of the illness. Of the 70%, there was an additional 12% that indicated they weren't sure one way or another. And that left about 18% of the respondents who either disagreed or strongly disagreed with the item. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an overview. There was another question where we had 75% of the respondents disagree if we had to continue with total distance learning in September. So it was a very strong 75% that disagreed, 10% were unsure, and another 16% agreed with continuing with distance learning. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of a pulse check on where people are at this time.
Now,
So
Dr. Graham, I know that I heard from some community members that there were individuals taking the survey multiple times. But is it true that you could only take the survey from a device one time? So if I was going to take the survey more than once, I would have to use my laptop, my cell phone, my desktop, and then I would be done, correct? Like you would have to be on a different device to take it again?
That's my understanding. What you said, Ashley, that you could take it once on one device, but if you were still inclined, you could run over to the library or go down in your basement and use another device, apparently.
Okay.
That might be
I know that
slight,
was a concern
yeah, it might be
about
flaw.
skewing.
Yeah. But overall, a tremendous response across Western New York with 25,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on now to the Board of Education report. We have the budget vote minutes attached for information. And thank you to everyone that sent in a ballot and voted. And thank you to Jude, who and her small group there that did all of the work of counting and opening and organizing, and of course at 3 a.m. Wrapping everything up for us on the final day of the election. We really appreciate all your hard work on that. Did anyone have anything else under Board of Education report with regards to that?
Can I just give a quick update if nobody has anything on our Gizba golf tournament?
Sure.
Sorry, I gotta finish.
No.
I've been pleading for months for everybody to play. So unfortunately, we have canceled our Gizba golf tournament that was scheduled for July of this year. However, we will be looking to raise funds to fund our scholarships through a big ticket item raffle. So stay tuned for the information on that. But I know y'all marked your calendar. We're going to golf on July 27th. So I just wanted you to know it was
I
canceled.
actually did this year. Thank you very much. And worked on my putt, so I'm kind of concerned that it's not happening.
Got a whole other year.
Hey, Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It gives me another year to correct it, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Sue, I just shine a
Go ahead.
spotlight on Dr. Harris. She's already been working hard the past few days securing some prizes.
Great.
They're big prizes, so we'll know more in the future, but we're pretty excited about just
There
two
better be a putting prize.
of the bits of information we've heard so far. So thank you.
Well, I hope I didn't steal your thunder, Brian, but I have to keep the follow-up going.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment session, general items not included on the agenda. Do we have, I believe we don't have anyone signed up for that. So committee of the whole, items and information for the roundtable, starting with Glenn.
Hello, the birds have gone, so they're not here anymore. I got two things. I believe on Sunday is graduation day at Beaver Island. I would hope and expect that it'll be a great occasion, as it always is. I look forward to having our grads celebrated like they have in many years. Two, I commented earlier, I don't know what it means that less than 60% of our voters approved budget this year. I would like to think that we can look at that, determine what that means, and hope that we get a better community support in the future. That's it.
Hey, Nicole.
I just want to thank Jude and her team again for all that last minute, late night running around, and to wish all the graduates a happy graduation. Thank you.
All right, Jay. Jay, did you have anything?
He's been having difficulty, so he's been going in and out. You might touch base with him again.
All right, Robin.
Just happy graduation to all of our seniors. You certainly have a story to tell people about your graduation, and that's all I have.
Joy?
Congrats to the seniors, and I'm all set.
Sue?
I just have a couple things. I look forward to attending graduation on Sunday. I thoroughly enjoy attending our graduation ceremonies. And I may be a little premature, Karen, but I know your last day falls on or near our next meeting. And I didn't want to miss an opportunity to thank you for all your hard work and wish you the very best in your future. Take care.
Thank you so much, Sue. I appreciate that.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. I'm all set. Moving on to Cheryl. Cheryl, did
I
you
wanted
have anything?
to congratulate all of the new hires tonight and welcome them to the. Yep, I do. Am I not on?
I think you're lagging a bit.
Yep, we can hear you.
Am I there? Okay. I just wanted to congratulate all of the new hires and say congratulations, welcome to Grand Island, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
All right, Ruby. Dr. Harris.
The only things I have is congratulations to everyone. Congratulations to our seniors. Congratulations to the teachers for making it through, and welcome to summer. And I look forward to what the upcoming weeks and months have in store for us.
Okay, Jude.
That's it.
Is Jude with us? No. Or Jay, did you have anything for the roundtable? I don't know if you're back with us. I don't see him on my screen.
Here we go. We'll
I can check her out.
jump in over
Okay.
here.
There we
I don't
go.
know if you can. There you go.
All right. I just wanted to say congratulations to the seniors and graduating. And I also I wanted to thank my poll inspectors again. They were phenomenal. We started working last Thursday, worked Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. They literally worked for 4 days. I also want to thank a big thank you to Erie County Board of Elections. Jessica Smith Overholt is just phenomenal. She's a rock star. I don't think that when she texted me and said, "Are you willing to come at 3 a.m.?" she did not expect the response, "Yes, we will take that time slot." So I want a big shout out to Jessica, Mike Augustino, and Justin Rooney. And I also want a big thank you to Chrissy Solonic. She's our mail courier. She went above and beyond at the post office. She just was phenomenal. She was a rock star, helping out with all the keeping us all updated with the post office and keeping us on track and making sure, because I think it was fairly new to our post office also to have such a quantity of business reply coming back. So they were learning on the go as we were learning on the go. So big thank you to Chrissy. And also Dr. Graham for being my partner in crime and agreeing to go in at 3 o'clock. It was 11:30 at night on Tuesday night. We were getting ready to leave. And I said, "You're not going to believe this. I just got a text message from Jessica. Are you in? I'm in if you're in. Let's get this over with." So that was great, and thank you to the voters who came out and voted and everything via absentee ballot. So, and congratulations, Karen, on your retirement, and good luck to you. Happy, healthy retirement to you. That's it.
And Jay, I see you are back with us. Did you have anything for the roundtable, Jay?
I'm back. I apologize. Severe technical difficulties for me tonight, but no, I just want to say thank you to the community members for supporting the budget, and welcome back to Ashley and Sue. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jay. Thank you. And I want to echo what Jay just said. Thank you to everyone who sent in a ballot and voted. Thank you again. And I'm so excited about graduation. I think we're going to have a phenomenal day. And thank you to Mike Loria. Thank you, Dr. Graham. Thank you to Cheryl Chamberlain and your entire group and committee that put this special graduation together, because I really think Grand Island is going to have something special for our seniors, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you. Dr. Graham.
Good. Well, just to wrap things up, even though school officially ended last week, our food service team is still providing lunches and breakfasts to students who are interested in that this week, and that'll conclude on Friday. So a big thank you to the entire food service team and Patrick leadership. It's really truly been remarkable. So thank you to him and all of his staff. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay. And I also want to echo congratulations on your retirement to Karen Cuddy Miller, and we hope that you enjoy retirement and stay safe and healthy and just enjoy yourself. You deserve it. So with that, if no one else has anything for the roundtable, I would like to adjourn the meeting at 8:42 p.m. Okay, make a motion. And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good
Night,
night, everyone.
Night.
Night.